Oh, the criminals, they're sticking up for the criminals and they're throwing the citizens under the bus who aren't criminal. How? Explain how. Example. Show me something. A paper. Something. You should not be okay with the government saying, we're not gonna take the data here and go with this. We're gonna throw it out because it doesn't agree with the narrative that we want to put out there. Why is it so hard for two people with their only job being is to talk political shit all goddamn day to not give me one policy, one example? You can't give me one? Is that so hard? What the Welcome back to my channel. Okay, if you guys know me, I am a React content creator. I like to react to different things. If there's something you want me to react to, please put it in the comment section. This is currently a stream segment. I'm starting to do that more. If you want to catch me reacting to the segment first before everybody else, my suggestion is to go to the stream. Because a lot of the times, the video that you're watching right now was probably recorded on stream 2 days prior. So, with that being said, today we're going to be reacting to what I hope is my final Charlie Kirk video. If you guys were part of my stream, I went ahead and I reacted to every single comment that was made on my Charlie Kirk video. I thought it was funny because if you went ahead and looked at my Charlie Kirk video, right, and saw many comments that was there, you would think that these guys have a very well understanding on what I feel and why I feel that way. They don't, because the average view duration when 90% of those comments were made was 2 minutes and 18 seconds. And when we went on live to look at those 2 minutes and 18 seconds, it was literally just me having my intro, letting Abba and Preach talk a little bit, and me saying that political violence is unacceptable. So, yeah. But a bunch of people thought that I was wrong and that I was stupid 2 minutes into my video without me saying anything except political violence is bad. So, regardless, we're going to go ahead and watch The Civil Rights Act Has Led to More Crime. Proof by Charlie Kirk. And I'm going to listen to him because one thing that Charlie Kirk fans love to say is that he's out of context. He's out of context. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to break this shit down. Full context. And we're going to see exactly what he has to say. So without further ado, Charlie, take the floor, my man. Let's go.
Okay, everybody, radio stations across the country, honored to be with you, as always, live from the Imperial Capital here in Washington, D.C. We're here at the mobilebitcoin.com studio. You can email us, freedom@charliekirk.com, and subscribe to the Charlie Kirk Show podcast. The Charlie Kirk Show podcast is doing quite well right now as we check the numbers, number 8 overall in Apple News. We're going to get straight to a guest here about many different things, and I love this idea of just doing things, cleaning up our cities, amongst many other topics that we are going to cover. The guest is Aaron McIntyre. He's a Sirius anchor, Blaze TV host, and author of The Total State. Aaron, great to see you. Welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show.
Thanks for having me, Charlie.
So, Aaron, why don't we take this, before we get into some of the stories of the day, it's your first time on the program, I believe. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you believe? And what do you do?
I'm Aaron McIntyre. I've got the Aaron McIntyre Show over at Blaze TV. I'm somebody who spent a lot of time just as an average guy. I was a high school teacher. I did a little bit of reporting for a local newspaper, and I started studying a lot more about political theory once I saw what happened during COVID, all the insane violations of our rights, because I needed to understand what was actually going on. I started making videos and talking about that.
Insane. Keep in mind, insane violations of our rights. Who was the president? Trump. But I love how it's always top down when a Democrat's in office. But when Trump's in office, who did we blame? It was Fauci. It was the Democrats. It was governors. All of a sudden, there's a lot of nuance here. It's not just the president, and I actually agree with that sentiment. It's not just the president. There's a lot of nuance here. State rights, governors, different individuals have different powers. You can't just blame the president. But then as soon as he's out of office, okay, now everything's Biden's fault again. I found that a little funny. A little off topic, but a little funny.
And that's really how I got to what I'm doing today.
So speaking of kind of the structure and the form of government, let's dive into some of the news of the day. President Donald Trump has announced that there's going to be a federal takeover of Washington, D.C. We have long said that crime is a choice, that rampant crime and the kind of degeneration of America's greatest cities has been a conscious decision by our political leaders. Has there been a comparable example in history or even in modern Western times of a great power deciding to no longer be great? And your thoughts on the federalization of Washington, D.C.?
Okay, I want to pause real quick because I want you guys to peep what he just did. If you were part of my life, you remember this. But if not, don't worry, I'll break it down here. Empty platitudes. He said something that is true. He doesn't need to defend it because it is true. Right? I don't need to tell you or show you that I have a beard or explain to you that I have a beard or prove to you that I have a beard. I don't need to elaborate on that because it's just true. I have a beard, you can see that. So I move on to the next thing. That's what he just did there. Okay? The people in political power, okay, they're the reason this crime is happening. They're the reason that we're in the situation that we are right now. I don't need to explain to you how. I don't need to explain to you why. But it's definitely true. And that is what we call, kids, empty platitudes.
As President Donald Trump uses federal force to clean up our nation's capital.
I think it's a constant feature of declining societies, especially declining empires, that they lose the will to make the hard choices, that decisions become increasingly difficult because everyone wants to avoid accountability and responsibility. Laws get put into place just to protect the criminals because ultimately it's fear of the process that people worry about, not the fear of the actual crime. The people who are being victimized are put below the others. Their rights are less important than the rights.
Again, how? I don't know how... I don't want to yap too long because we want to let them speak, right? I just don't understand how people can sit here and watch this type of shit. This is not even me being hateful. This is numbing my fucking brain. I'm bored is what I'm trying to say. I'm fucking bored because nothing is being said. That's the problem. It's like, oh, the criminals, they're sticking up for the criminals and they're throwing the citizens under the bus who aren't criminal. How? Explain how. Example. Show me something. A paper. Something. Why? I don't understand how you can just say something and it be a fact, but if we show data, facts, stats, that's wrong. Like, I don't get how these two worlds exist.
Of the criminal. I think that what we're seeing with Donald Trump right now is the willingness to say, no, law and order is what matters. The safety of the American people is what matters. And we're not going to let a bunch of soft on crime laws and everybody else who's trying to put all of these barriers between us and keeping the people safe. We're going to start ignoring those. We have the authority to do so. The Constitution grants Congress the ultimate legislative authority over Washington, D.C. was never supposed to be its own city with its own political interests. And it certainly wasn't supposed to increase crime by putting these type of soft on crime policies in place. I think
doesn't name a single policy. By the way, I love growing up. All I heard was, when it comes to the Democrats, when it comes to Republicans, all I heard as a kid was Democrats, they don't care about state rights, but that's important to me. Don't tread on me. Where the fuck are y'all at? Where are the don't tread on me motherfuckers at? Now we can get treaded on as much as we want, as long as it's in our interest. It's cool. Also, I find it funny that now Trump can deploy federal troops. He can do that now. January 6th, he couldn't do that, though. Somehow it was Nancy Pelosi's fault and shit. But now he can do that. He can do that now. Okay. Find that interesting. And again, empty platitudes. You guys are used to my content. I yap a lot. And I love to bring up shit. And I love to bring up examples. And I love to look up shit online. If you guys have seen my content, if you're new here, that's the type of shit I like to do, you know? I like to back the shit I'm saying with actual, like, facts. But the reason I'm not talking much right now is because I don't know what I'm supposed to say. We're 3 minutes in, and the only thing he's stating is, quote-unquote, truths. The real truth. Without, like, saying anything. Like, at all. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to rebut when he's not putting anything on the table. But, you know, there's 16 minutes. We're only 3 minutes in, so let's keep going.
I think a lot of people have been waiting for moves like this from Donald Trump, and they're very encouraged to see him taking this kind of action.
Of course, the press is up in arms over all of it. And it's not that crime is hard to stop. It's that it's mildly unpleasant to stop. And we have decided that if some groups will go to prison more often than others, then it's just not worth having real laws.
Yeah, Charlie,
that's what reflected. Yeah, please, Aaron, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, just that we see that reflected all over our society. That ultimately, what people are worried about more is offense than actual safety. And so, over and over again, we see people choosing not to offend certain groups, to placate certain politically correct theories about how society works, as opposed to look at how society is really working and taking action. And
How does that relate with crime? What is being done? Who's doing it? Who are you talking about? What is this who doing? What exactly are they doing to placate to criminals to allow crime to exist or be as high as it is when really crime has been going down since the 90s? It's been at all-time lows. Like, I don't... How? Please help me understand. I don't get it because you're not explaining shit to me. Like, you're just telling me that this is happening, but you're not giving me any examples. Not one.
So a lot of people will notice, for instance, that certain groups such as Black Americans often commit higher crimes, but it is unfashionable to admit this, and noticing that more of these people would go to jail should people be actually arrested and the law enforced means that we have to pull back on the actual crime enforcement. I believe you've...
So we're not arresting enough black people? What the fuck are you... You do understand crime is a thing, okay? And we have laws in place to arrest people and put them in jail. What you are stating is that crime exists and there is a group of people, black people, you've been talking about them since the beginning. I didn't want to say it because I felt like his fanboys would have called me racist, so I'm glad that you came out and said it, so now I can finally address the elephant in the room. Black people, I don't know why you didn't just say it from the beginning. You feel that black people are being placated to, okay? When they get arrested, they're actually not getting charged. How? Give me an example. What is happening, okay? Is there like a city where a bunch of black people are getting slaps on the wrist, like they go commit an assault and they don't even get arrested? There's a body cam of a cop saying, I don't know, bro, I would arrest you, but this DI shit is kind of crazy. Can't put you in jail because you're black? Like, what is happening? Please help me understand that, because I don't understand how you can say this but back it with nothing. But again, 4 minutes in, let's keep going.
Talk to Steve Saylor about this kind of impact that we see over again from kind of the perceptions our society has about how we should treat crime. And this is ultimately damaging people. So like, once again, like you said, we know how to solve this problem. It's not that crime is a mystery. We know what works, but we simply chose not to enforce it because ultimately crime is a policy choice. You can choose between actually enforcing the law and keeping people safe and having a free and equal society in which you understand that ultimately some groups who commit more crimes may end up in jail more often, or you can play, this game of obfuscating what's actually going on, being soft on these policies, ultimately hurting the very people who are contributing to society, just so you can please a bunch of people who ultimately probably aren't voting, aren't contributing, aren't being involved in the body politic anyway.
Okay. What are the policies, Orrin McIntyre? What are the policies? Why is that so? If you are a Charlie Kirk fan, and we're 5 minutes into his video, this makes sense to you. They haven't named... Keep in mind, take your fucking glasses off, okay? Those fucking rose-colored... Well, you guys hate fucking... Okay, sorry. I don't want you guys to think about flowers. You think I'm calling you gay. That's not what I'm saying. Take those fucking red, white, and blue shades off for a second. Not a single stat was brought up. Not a single policy was brought up. Not a single person was brought up. Not anything of proof was brought up. All we know so far is this. People are allowing black people to just get away with crimes. They're trying to placate to black people because they don't want to seem like they're racist. And they're not being tough on crime as they should because they just want to appease the population that they feel is not even caring about the political system in general, black people. So this is what has been said so far. It's not me misquoting him. This is literally what he's been saying. How, though? How is that happening? Where is that happening? What's being done? Nothing. Nothing. By the way, I'm not sure what the hell this has to do with the Civil Rights Act. But, I don't know. We're 5 minutes in, so I guess we'll just keep going.
Mike Cernovich had a phenomenal tweet last evening where MSNBC's up in arms and they're saying, oh, this is just a bunch of lies. DC, the crime is coming down. Understand, it's down from record highs post-2020, but it's not down of where it was 20 years ago. But...
Okay, what did I tell you guys at the beginning of this video? I told you guys that Charlie was gonna lie, not bring up any evidence, and just sit here and yap about nonsense. So, we got to the lie, let's pull up the fact, okay? When it comes to crime, especially in Washington, D.C., it absolutely is down since the... Give me a second. It absolutely is down since 20 years ago. 20 years ago would have been like 2006, 2005. Crime has been down since the 90s in Washington, D.C. And that is what they're speaking on. That's exactly what they're speaking on. So let's go ahead and look this up because you guys know how I am. I keep saying that, but some of you are probably new time viewers. Hey, by the way. Hey guys. But when it comes to the shit I like to talk about, I like to actually, know what I'm speaking on. So give me a second. Okay, let's see. Can you give me like a year by year? 30-year low. Oh. I could have just read the fucking violent crime in DC hits 30-year low. Okay, my bad. I could have just read the fucking headline. I was trying to do like a year by year. But yeah, violent crime has been down. In addition to overall violent crime reduction, homicides are down 32%, robberies are down 39%, armed carjackings are down 53%, assaults with a dangerous weapon are down 27% when compared with 2023 levels. Okay, so this is not 2020, this is 2023. And they go on to explain that violent crime has reached an all-time low since the last 30 years, and crime has been down since the 90s. That's just a fact. But again, this is all something you can look up. This is on the DOJ's website for now. This is on the DOJ's website for now. This is on the DOJ's website, okay? You can look this up. You can look this up yourselves. For now. If you guys are wondering why I keep saying that, it's because I believe they took down a study that showed that right-wing extremists were more likely at 73% clips to commit for political violence. That got taken down, and it got put in place with a poll. So fuck data about events that happen. Let's go with a poll and ask people how they feel. Like that should hurt. If you are an American, I hope you understand, that should make you feel some type of way. Just a little bit. You should not be okay with the government saying, we're not going to take the data here and go with this. We're going to throw it out because it doesn't agree with the narrative that we want to put out there. Instead, we're going to throw the study out and put a poll that asks people how they feel about this topic instead of using the data, what actually shows proof on this topic. Because feelings matter a lot more than proof. Like, that should make you feel like shit. Like, it shouldn't be okay. It'd be like, no, I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't like the fact that you guys are throwing away data on shit, throwing away studies because it disagrees with your political leaning. Democrat or Republican, we should be okay with the facts. Not in this administration, apparently. But, okay. We go back now. Let's go back to Charlie. Charlie, where are you, buddy? Let's keep going, huh?
This is an open offer, and Cernovich was exactly right. For any member of the press, this shows the fraud that they are. Why don't you go walk the Navy Yard with a GoPro at midnight, no armed security, no weapons, and live stream what you see? Why don't you go walk the Navy Yard, MSNBC, any one of these members of the press? You don't get any armored cars, no police support. Just walk the streets. Show us how safe they are. And then, by the way, you'll get big ratings. Expose the president's lies. I could walk the streets of Tokyo at night. When I walk the streets of Tokyo, there'll be no thugs or gangbangers, criminal members. All these members of the press.
Now, kids, this is where I need you to follow me a little bit here, okay? We're going to break down two things that he said and show the dishonesty between the two statements. You ready? So the first one, he said, why don't you go walk down the streets? Why don't you go show me? His response to different news organizations, probably stating the fucking article that I pulled up for you guys. Oh, it's gone. Probably stating the article that I pulled up for you guys from the DOJ's website. That showed that crime is at an all-time low. For the last 30 years, it's been hitting time lows, right? His rebuttal to that study, to that data, to all of that is, oh, you're telling me you got proof that crime is down? Really? Why don't you go to the most dangerous part in the city and walk there at 2 a.m., okay? And then tell me how your numbers are looking. It's like, what? And to some people, what I just said, they're like, I don't get why you're making fun of that. It makes sense to me. That is like saying, hey, bro, like hold on. I'm curious. How many people die from lions a year? How many people die from lions a year? I guess. How many would have said? 200 to 250 people a year. Man. 22 deaths per year in a different context. Okay, hold on. What the fuck? Google. I need actual numbers. Here we go. Statista. We're going to go with that. Lions are at 250. Okay, so we got 250. All right, we got 250. That's like stating, hey, bro, when it comes to lions and them killing humans, they sit at like 250 a year. So I'm not sure lions are like the main culprit when it comes to like killing of humans. I feel like there's a lot of other things, a lot of other people, a lot of other factors that go into this. And the response to you is, bro, really? Really? Why don't you go jump inside of a lion cage and then tell me lions aren't as dangerous? It's like, I'm just telling you, they're not, the main benefactor to death when it comes to humans, Oh, you really feel that way? Oh, listen how stupid you sound. Go jump in a lion cage. Like, how does that rebuke the numbers, though? You're not rebuting anything. It's go walk down this road. See if you get robbed. Okay, and then if they do it, then what, Charlie? If they end up walking down the road, nothing ends up happening to them, what's next then? Oh, you probably caught it on a good day. That doesn't mean shit. It's like, there's no winning. There's no winning. There's no winning. Right? And then the second statement, okay? When he says, I can walk down Tokyo in the middle of the night, and I ain't gotta worry about gangbangers, and I gotta worry about thugs. What do you think he's saying with that? I'm gonna let y'all figure out what you think he's saying with that. Just, why is he bringing up Tokyo? Why Tokyo specifically? There's a lot of places he could bring up, but he specifically brought up Tokyo. Why do you think that is? Could it be because they're very homogenous in Tokyo? Could that be the reason? Could that be the reasoning behind him specifically picking on that? And then right after saying gangbangers and thugs. Again, I don't know if Charlie is racist. I don't. He may not have been. I'm just saying, when you're stating things like this and you're using these dog whistles, it's just, it doesn't look the best, is all I'm trying to say. Let's keep going, okay? So far, what do we know so far? Should we make a notepad? Should we make notes? Let's make a notepad, guys. So what do we know so far? Okay, we know that crime is being allowed by, we don't even know who, cops, they said people in political power. So that was stated, so I'll be nice. They said that by people in political power because they don't wanna be racist. So we know that. Soft on crime policies. Not sure what the policies are, but, soft on crime policies. The legacy media is lying. Legacy media lying about stats because they won't walk down a dangerous city at night. Okay, so far that's what we got. And then, oh, my bad, the biggest part. Black people are being appeased instead of arrested. Like, that's what we know. That's what we know. So we know that black people are being appeased instead of arrested. The legacy media, MSNBC, CNN, all those media companies are lying when it comes to crime being at an all-time low in Washington, D.C. in the last 30 years, even though it was a study posted by the DOJ in January that showed this, but that's okay. Soft on crime policies, don't know what the policies are, and crime is actually being allowed by people in political power who, we don't know, but they are allowing it because they don't want to be called racist. So far, we're 6 minutes in. That's what we have. So let's keep going.
This is the key. They live in Northern Virginia or Maryland. Why don't they just live over the Anacostia River. It's a lot closer to where they work. And of course, the key element of this is they're big talkers, but they even know how wildly undangerous Washington, D.C. has come. You mentioned something such as disparate impact. Aaron, do you believe this idea of disparate impact, that more black people might go to jail if you're tough on crime, is that one of the modern original sins as to why we have allowed the country to descend into a more dangerous and at times third world unrecognizable environment?
Oh, absolutely. And people have to understand that this is actually encoded into our law. The Civil Rights Act originally was...
we're getting into the Civil Rights Act. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to get into the Civil Rights Act. I'm so curious. So, before we get into the Civil Rights Act, let's understand what the Civil Rights Act was. It was a landmark legislation that outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Okay? That's what it was. There are 5 titles. You guys want to read them all? Let's read them. Title 1 guarantees equal voting rights by removing bias registration requirements. Title 2 prohibits segregation in public accommodations involved in interstate commerce, such as hotels, restaurants, and theaters. Title 3 addresses desegregation in public facilities and school. Title 4 authorizes the federal government to enforce school desegregation. And Title 5 bans employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So that was the Civil Rights Act. Basically what it said is you're not allowed to discriminate against people based on color, race, religion, or sex. You're not allowed to do that, okay? You got to make your schools open to everyone based on merit. I love how they leave that out. As long as they earn their way into the school, they have to be able to go to school. As long as they earn their job, they got to get the job. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, okay? No one's saying you hand people jobs. They're saying that if they earn the job, they get the job, okay? That's how that works. When it comes to restaurants, when it comes to theaters, you can't just discriminate people who can come in, all right, because of their race, color, gender, blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, you can still discriminate. No shoes, no shirt, no service. That's still a thing you can do. That's not covered under the Civil Rights Act, right? You can still do that. You can't walk into a store naked. You still do that. If someone walks in and they have their shoes and socks on, shoes or socks off, my bad, they can get kicked out. You can still do that. And keep in mind, businesses can still kick you out if they deem necessary. They just can't do it based on these factors. If you're being a rude piece of shit, you can be kicked out of a business. This has happened time and time again. Like, dude, you're being a jackass. Please leave. You're trespassed. This has happened. So, we know what the Civil Rights Act is. Okay? Went over it a little bit here. I want to see what exactly is the deal, okay? Because according to them, the Civil Rights Act is leading to this racial tension that's causing an increase in crime in the country. I'm so curious, but let's see. Oh,
implemented with the idea that, of course, we wanted equal treatment for people of all races in the United States. But what quickly happened is that the courts developed this doctrine of disparate impact, and the idea that if there's ever any difference between group outcomes, whether it be education or crime or anything else, that the only answer to that different result is racism. It's de facto racism, even if you didn't.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I'm glad I'm fucking reading as he's fucking talking. Disparate impact that's not what that means. At the end of the day, okay, they could only find you liable for disparate impact if there was a neutral policy that disproportionately harmed a group. That's what that means. If they could prove that you were harming a group, and it's 2 pieces, not just one, and they also have to say that the policy isn't justified by a business necessity and has less discriminatory alternatives. So, I know, I'm a black man. I know a lot of words. It's kind of, that might be sounding crazy to you guys. So what does that mean? What does disparate impact mean in simple terms, okay? Let's say I own a ice cream business, okay? I own an ice cream business. And I really don't like Asian people, okay? And I state that before you can come into my store for ice cream, you have to tell me your last name. But I'm obviously not going to say because I don't like Asian people. It's not going to be said. But I'm saying, before you come into my store, you got to tell me your last name so I can make sure that you're not a criminal. If this gets taken to court, because people are starting to notice a trend that a lot of Asian sounding last names are being denied ice cream, what the judge will ask me is two pieces. One, is there any legitimate reasoning for you to have a policy where you need to hear everyone's last name? Two, is there any better way you can go about this? And three, who are you turning down based on their last name and why? And then when they go through my logs and they see that I'm not even really turning down criminals, I'm literally just turning down Asian sounding names, then the judge is going to be like, okay, it sounds like you have this in place because you don't like Asian people. I don't think this has anything to do with criminals. 90% of the people you turn down aren't even criminals. And the database you're using is not even real. I'm probably just typing their name on Facebook or something. The database you're using is not even legitimate. Like, there's no reason to have this. There's alternatives to this, okay? You can't have this policy. There's no reason to have this policy. This seems like a discriminatory policy. That is disparate impact, okay? It's not, sorry, it's just frustrating because if you don't know the history of this stuff, if you don't know what he's talking about, you're just going to take it. You're going to take what he's saying and be like, that's it. That makes sense to me. That's not true. That's just a lie. That's a lie. A judge doesn't have a black guy come in and be like, oh, you're racist. Rule of the black man. Like, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Okay? It's two-piece. You got to prove that the policy in and of itself is discriminatory towards a group of people disproportionately. Not just one guy walks in, one black guy. You got to show it. You got to show a line of it. You got to show a large portion of this group is being discriminated. And then you also have to show that the policy that they're using to discriminate against that group is unnecessary. Okay? And there's better alternatives to it. That is the point. So this was a lie. Let's keep going.
Mean to be racist. It means that you are racist, and this doctrine impacts everything in our society. The Sheetz gas station.
But I will say, it makes me happy that he actually brought up a policy. He brought up a policy, and now it sounds like he's about to bring up an example, so I gotta listen closely. Well, let's go ahead and listen.
Lost a lawsuit against the federal government last year. They brought a civil rights lawsuit against this gas station because it was excluding people from employment due to background checks. And more often than not, background checks that exclude people were excluding more black and other minority members during the selection process. So even though it was just a background check for criminal activity, because it disproportionately produced results that kept
Okay, we're going to look that up. Hold on, let's let him finish.
Black Americans from getting jobs there, they lost the lawsuit. They were in violation of the Civil Rights Act. And this attitude
Okay, so let me look this up. Give me a second. I got Google pulled up. He said the Sheetz gas station. Okay, let me. Okay, so this is what I found. The case wasn't lost. It's still ongoing. And what's happening is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission filed a complaint against Sheetz in 2024, alleging that its blanket criminal backgrounds had a disparate impact on Black, Native American, and other minority applicants. The case has not been fully resolved. In fact, the DOJ recently moved to drop parts of it, saying Sheetz lost. It's factually wrong, so that it's not lost. So the law doesn't ban background checks. It asks, is there a legitimate business? So it's asking if this is a necessity. Um, as far as I can tell, like the EEOC is what they're claiming is that when they were running background checks, Jesus, when they were running background checks, the only thing I'm seeing is like yeah, I'm just reading this shit right here. The only thing I'm seeing really is that it seems like white people with it seems white people who failed a background check seem to still get a job, while Black and Native Americans people haven't. But the case is still ongoing. Like, there's no loss yet, so that's not even true. But being denied employment. So yeah, they said that Black and Native Americans were denied unemployment at a higher rate than white people when it comes to failed background checks. So interesting. So even what he's stating there is a distortion of the truth. Because this case is ongoing, and we'll see what happens. Because the way I'm understanding it is that this company's running background checks, as most companies do. But it seems like even white people that fail a background check, they're likely to get the job, while a Black person and a Native American who fails a background check will not get the job. And that seems disproportionate, because if you're going to not give someone a job based on a background check, then everybody shouldn't get the job. It shouldn't be this guy didn't get a job because of the background check. This guy got the job. We don't care about his background. But then when you're asked on this, you can't turn around and say, oh, this isn't racist. We're just not giving them the job because of their background check. Like, I don't... Again, I read a little bit about that. The case is still ongoing, so they didn't lose anything. He's just lying. Shocker. But also, it's not because they're just running background checks and not giving people jobs because of background checks. It's the fact that they are giving people jobs on failed background checks, but they're giving it to white people more disproportionately than they are giving it to, more proportionally, I should say, than they are giving it to Black and Native Americans people. Now, the case is still ongoing, so there's a lot of shit I probably don't know. There's a lot of shit that's probably in court that's not going to be released until the court case is settled. But once the court case is settled, I guess we can go ahead and look at it, buddy, and see exactly what went down. But as far as what we can see and the facts of the matter, it is not what this guy is claiming, okay? They did not get a case put upon them because they started running background checks and denied Black people, and Black people brought a case up. It was the EEOC, okay, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. That's who brought the fucking case to them. That is who brought the case to them. They're the ones that said, this needs to be brought up because it seems like you're hiring people, even if they fail background checks, but it's mostly white people. But you're denying other people based on background checks. It's one or the other. Either deny everyone or hire everyone. You can't have one or the other. So, we'll see. We'll see how the case turns out. But that seems kind of gross to me, how you're gonna, you're definitely stretching the truth a bit there. You're lying. You're lying, because you can look this up. I didn't even know what this was, and I just did one Google search. One, the case is still ongoing. No one lost anything yet, so that was a blatant lie. And two, it has nothing to do with them just doing background checks. That's a lie. I feel like he knew that, but that doesn't matter, because his audience doesn't know that. It's not about proving your point. It's about making your point sound good to people who's not going to try to look it up for you. So, let's keep going.
Impacts everything, our policing, our schools. I used to be a public school teacher. I was in a majority minority school, and in that school, it was made very clear that we could not discipline or fail our students because they were minority students, and disproportionately, that would show that we were racist, even though...
What school? What school was this? You worked for the school. You could tell me what school. I don't even know what I'm supposed to Google over here. What am I supposed to type in? What am I supposed to do with this? I can't even Google on my second monitor. I don't even know what you want me to. What do you want me to say to that? I can literally look at you and just say okay. Okay? Like, you have no proof of that. You couldn't even say the school name. Such a fucking... Oh, it's so gross. It's so gross. He doesn't even have to say the school name. If this is true, you can literally strap the school name. I should be able to look it up. But, don't have to do that. We can just lie. It's cool. We can just lie. Lying's cool. We don't have to do anything else. Just fucking lie and call it a day. Jesus Christ.
They were the majority of the student body, and it would simply make sense that more minority students were going to be failed or expelled in that environment. It didn't matter. So this doesn't just affect crime in DC. This affects how your child is educated in the public school down the street.
The Civil Rights Act was a new founding where we decided to discard the U.S. Constitution and reconstitute the story, the mantra, the creed, and the vision of America. And you even see this in Republican circles as well.
Bro, the Civil Rights Act did not discard the Constitution. All it did was say you cannot discriminate against people based on characteristics that they can't change. Really breaks down to that. It's not that hard. You're a weird man. You're a weird guy. I don't know how you can really get that. You know what? I'm talking over Charlie. I need to stop being a fucking dick. I'm a fucking dick, guys. I'm a fucking piece of shit. Let Charlie speak. He is going to explain to us how the Civil Rights Act discarded the Constitution. Right now. That's what he's going to do. And I need to stop interrupting him. So let's get it. Go ahead, Charlie. My bad.
Say, well, the Civil Rights Act corrected a lot of the errors of the Constitution. No, it didn't. The Civil Rights Act was a completely new creation. Of course, it was well intended by some. We have acknowledged that many times. But the Civil Rights Act at its core was a new founding. It was to discard what happened prior. The Constitution says people have equal rights. Imagine just treating people equally. The Civil Rights Act does not treat people equally because
he's got to tell it. Hold on.
The legal theory under the Civil Rights Act is disparate impact. And so therefore you can't arrest a bunch of criminals in DC because you might be disproportionately arresting black men, and that might be deemed as racist.
No, you fucking lying piece of shit. So they're really stuck on this disparate impact shit. Like, they're stuck on this. I'm so happy I actually know what the Civil Rights Act is, and I'm so happy that I actually looked into this shit. Again, disparate impact. You have to prove in the court of law that what they're doing is completely unnecessary. Okay? It's too key. I love it. It's too key. Okay? It's too key, right? It needs to be both, not one or the other. This is so gross. It's like saying, I would divorce my wife if she hurt me. And the second key being, and by hurt, I mean, blow all our money on Pokemon cards, stab one of my family members, blow up my car, or do something that caused me great bodily harm. Those are the four main things. Anything else is fine, but those are the four. But it's like my wife hearing that, and then she goes, he said that he would divorce me if I hurt him. That's it. That's all he said. It's like, bro, it's and. It's not or. It's not 1, 2, and the 2 is or. It's and. Are you disproportionately, okay, signaling out a group of people, and can we prove that what you're doing is completely unnecessary? There's other alternatives, and it is showing that you are going about it in the most wrong, neglectful way possible. We got to prove both. We got to prove that not only are you doing something at a disproportionate action towards a group of people, we got to also prove that what you're doing is fucking ridiculous and shouldn't be happening at all. Like, there's 2 things that need to be proven. It's not one. It's not just, you're arresting a bunch of black people. Disparate impact, you're going to jail. Let them all go. It's like, no. Okay? Like, here's an example of disparate impact and an example of it being disparate impact, an example of it being not. And it's the same thing with black people being arrested. If a bunch of black people got arrested in DC and a judge wanted to look at that, and they said, hey, we arrested all these black people in DC. Why? We were fucking bored. I don't know. What do you mean you were bored? What? Elaborate. We were walking down the street and we heard that a criminal robbed a bank. I was like, oh, you get a description? Nope. But we arrested all these black people. So So it's like, you don't have no description, and you just arrested a bunch of black people. That is disparate impact. That right there is not okay. Now let's go on the flip side of it. It's like, okay, we arrested a bunch of black people. Why? Because all of these black people were part of a riot, broke into stores, robbed shit. That's why we arrested them. Okay, fair enough. So all of these black people, they have charges, like they're on camera, they stole, they broke in, they did that shit. It's like, yep. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like but again, if you don't know what this is, you don't need to defend it. Like, you can just listen to Charlie say this and be like, I didn't know what the spirit impact was. I'm just learning about this. Yeah, the Civil Rights Act is terrible. And it's like, nice. And I love how we're so hyper fixated on this one thing, one line of a 2-liner policy. This one thing. But we're not going to focus on the 2 keys, because it's 2.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age with my wife.
I don't give a fuck. Listen, if you're part of my channel, you know that I watch the ads. I respect it. But not if it's this fucking line bullshit. We're jumping ahead. Let's go.
And God bless.
Oren, do you have a thought on the Civil Rights Act being the new American founding and how modern America is largely based on this idea of disparate impact, critical theory that has grown into all of our institutions going back to the Civil Rights Act?
Disparate impact. They're so, oh my god, they're so horny for disparate impact, but they don't even want to explain it to their audience in a proper way. Fuck them, bro.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild what conservatives will allow under the name of the Civil Rights Act. Normally, we would recognize a program that basically had the legal right to go into every business, into every school, into every organization, and demand how they organize themselves, who they can hire, how they can do business. We would recognize that as a Soviet-style engineering program, a social engineering program from the top down. And yet we allow this because...
Did I hear that right? Hold on. Huh?
As a program that basically had the legal right to go into every business, into every school, into every organization, and demand how they organize themselves, who they can hire, how they can do business. We would recognize that as a Soviet-style engineering program.
That is a wild way. Wow. I'm not even mad. That was clean. That's like watching a crazy crossover right there. Like, he just fucking went, damn, that was clean. I don't know how you can take the Civil Rights Act that says, hey, you're not allowed to discriminate people based on their race, color, sex, religion, none of that, okay? You cannot hire them because they suck. You cannot hire them because they don't got the requirements. You cannot hire them because they may not like wearing shoes. You can even kick them out because of that too. But you're not allowed to discriminate them on characteristics that they can't control, okay? It's like, I hear you, but what it sounds like you're telling me is you want to control my store like it's Russia. And you're telling me that I have to only hire black guys. What? What do you mean? I don't know. It's like, okay. Yeah, that's not what's being said whatsoever. But okay then. What the fuck? What a spinning of that. That's crazy.
Social engineering program from the top down. And yet we allow this because we've basically adopted the Civil Rights Act as our second constitution. We like to think that ultimately whatever trade-offs
it's not.
we're giving with our freedom are okay because at the end of the day, they're bringing about a harmonious society. But of course, when the Civil Rights Act was originally sold, the idea was this was a temporary measure. We had an unfair system that had targeted Black Americans in a way that we found ultimately morally reprehensible, and we needed to make big changes. But
what I don't understand, what I really don't understand, like, is how you can say this. They keep saying, like, the Civil Rights Act got rid of the Constitution, discarded the Constitution. If you guys had, like, even 2 working brain cells here, you would understand that the Civil Rights Act didn't get rid of the Constitution. If anything, it strengthened the Constitution. What did it say in the Constitution? All men are created equal under God? Like, isn't that what you want? And that's literally what the Civil Rights Act says. It's like, hey, you're not allowed to discriminate against any man based on characteristics that they can't control. Like, I feel like that's literally just straightening our Constitution. Like, we're literally, that is the Constitution. This is just saying, hey, let's actually represent it, though. And you guys turn around and be like, oh, fuck, bro. It's discarding the Constitution. It's literally against it. It's saying that we can only hire black guys. Like, I don't... Okay.
Funny thing about all government programs is they never sunset, they never go away. And so even though after decades and decades of having its thumb on the scales, we haven't seen a vast improvement in the African American community's situation. In fact, in many ways, we've seen it degrade due to the Civil Rights Act. Despite that, we continue to say the only option is to...
How did it degrade? How did the African American community degrade because of the Civil Rights Act? We're not going to answer that question, but I find it funny that we can continue to just say bullshit and not have to defend it.
More and more effort into this. And each time we're giving away different freedoms and giving the government a blank check to involve itself in all of our lives. Think about the ways in which the Civil Rights Act was abused with all of the trans and all the gender madness, the way that it can be...
All of the trans and the gender madness. How? How's it? Give me an example. Why is this so hard? Am I losing my fucking mind? I'm losing my mind. I'm gonna go crazy. Why is it so hard for two people with their only job being is to talk fucking political shit all goddamn day to not give me one fucking policy, one example? You can't give me one? Is that so hard? What the fuck?
Used to pressure all of these different organizations to take action. This is, again, a blank check on government for government power that Republicans would never allow in any other situation, but have embraced because they're so terrified of being called racist. Because if you point out that this program has run its course and the government no longer needs this power, we're not going to go back to Jim Crow tomorrow if it was repealed, and yet we continue to act as if it's necessary for to have like a Stasi-like control over race relations in the United States.
No one's saying you're going to go back to... So, we have a point brought up that I can refute. No one's saying that you're going to go back to Jim Crow if you get rid of the Civil Rights Act. But what you are stating is if you get rid of the Civil Rights Act, is you are allowing people to do whatever the fuck they want with their business as far as hiring, firing, all that shit, based on sex, gender, all that shit. That's what you're saying. You're saying merit doesn't matter. Do you guys not understand that's your DEI, your version? Because like I said, I don't think you guys know what DEI is. Do you not understand that's your version of DEI? Is that not clicking to you? Does that not make sense to you? If that doesn't make sense to you, I need Sketchpad. We need to draw this because it seems like some guys just don't. The brain waves don't connect in ways they should be connecting with. So we're gonna break this down really easily. Okay, if you have a group of people, white, black, trans, yes, gay, all of them, they go to college, and let's say that this group of people are black, gay, trans people, right? And they all have fucking A's, 4.0 GPAs, great, right? Well, let's say there's a group of these people. They're all white. They got C's, okay? They got like a 2.5 GPA. They're all right. What the businesses, right? What they're told to do, hire on merit, okay? You can't discriminate against these people because they're gay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, okay, fuck it. We're going to hire some of these people, okay, because they earned it. They earned their degree, and they're going to make our business better. So we'll hire some of these people instead of just hiring a couple white guys. But we'll hire these people too. What you're saying, if you get rid of the Civil Rights Act, is, okay, fuck all these people. They're gay, they're trans, they're black. I don't want none of those people in my business. I'm just going to hire all these guys. Even though these people may deserve it more. Even though these people may deserve it more, they may have earned it. I don't care. And they may have more merit. I don't care because I don't like black people. I don't like trans people. So I'm going to hire this. I'm going to hire these people. I'm going to give them jobs. I'm going to allow them in my business. Like, no one's saying Jim Crow's going to be brought back overnight, but what you are saying is that you want a version of DEI is what I'm hearing from you. You want a version of DEI where you're allowed to discriminate against people because you feel like it. Not based on merit, not based on anything else. The DEI you hate, that's what you want. It's just so fucking crazy. It comes all the way around, guys. Republican DEI, that's what we call it. Y'all just want redneck DEI. That's all you want. You complain about it so much because you actually want it secretly. Wow. How things come full circle. Oh my gosh.
Look, the importance here is this is a big opportunity if we can lower crime. This can be a test case for the rest of the country. What needs to happen for that to occur in Washington, D.C.?
Well, the big, bold decision here is important, but like all leaders who make big, bold decisions, Donald Trump has to deliver. We have to see a significant change in the safety in Washington, D.C. Now, he's putting National Guard troops on the ground. He's federalizing control of the police. And if they can change the way that they do their job, if they can make their presence known, if they can police communities that otherwise were off limits, if they can actually carry out their jobs, that's a huge deal. But also, of course, the prosecution is a big deal. The fact that we don't actually put people in jail, we don't give them appropriate charges, we make sweetheart deals, these things also help to facilitate crime in the area.
Oh my God.
You're now basically own the safety in Washington, D.C., which again could be a huge political liability if you don't follow through, but can be a massive victory if you do. So Donald Trump has taken a bold step here, and he's taken on big responsibilities. That's what great leaders do. But great leaders also have to follow through. And so he can't get cold feet on this, of course. He needs to make sure that he is using that power, using that authority to increase the safety in Washington, D.C. And I haven't been there many times, but the few times that I have, let me tell you, I really wish there would have been more police on the street. I think this is ultimately going to be a popular move.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay. All right. I don't know.
So, and I would say
I
that
don't know. I don't know.
The challenge in front of the Trump administration is going to be both a show of force, but also tangibly being able to connect the show of force with a reduction in crime. And honestly, I don't think we should put up with these blue city hellholes. Final thoughts, Aaron McIntyre. What do you have to say to people that say that we should forget the blue cities and retreat away from them?
Oh, I love these pointed questions. Albeit that what are the top cities? Like the top 7 out of the 10 cities in the country are red cities when it comes to crime. Okay, like I love these pointed. Hey. Why do Democrats suck so much? Like, I love these pointed questions. No nuance whatsoever, okay? We don't want to talk about population density. We don't want to talk about the fact that no shit, more crime is probably going to happen in a city when you have a large group of people within that city. I don't know why it's so hard to fucking understand that concept. I could talk about economic disparity. I could talk about, hold on, here we go. I can talk about infrastructure. I can talk about different resources for different, for one city over the other, for different counties, for different towns, different subsections of this city. I can talk about all that. But people just seem not to understand basic population density. If I have fucking a million people right here, and I have 10 over here, no fucking shit, the crime rate's gonna be higher with the million people. I don't understand why it's so hard to get that. And not only that, again, Republican cities, 7 out of like the top 10 when it comes to crime, Republican-led run cities. We don't talk about that. We don't care about that, because why does that matter? Isn't like the most, hold on, I don't like speaking out of my ass. I want to see something. I thought the most murders, isn't it St. Louis? Murders. No, Jackson, Mississippi. I was wrong on that. St. Louis is 2. Jackson, Mississippi is 1. St. Louis is 2. Baltimore is 3. New Orleans is 4. And Memphis is 5. 1 through 5, all Republican fucking led cities. But what do we think about that, guys? What do we think about that? That's crazy. That is fucking crazy. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be fucking kidding me, dog. That's insane. But no, it's the Democrat cities. It's the Democrat cities. That's the cities with the problems. What? Republican cities have more crime? You're a liar. Fake news. Legacy media. Fake news. Full of shit. You know what you're talking about. Nana boo-boo. Get out my face.
Look, ultimately, I think there is some level of self-sorting that is occurring in the United States. I live in Florida, where a lot of people fled during the COVID madness because they wanted to live in a state that was sane and wouldn't steal their freedoms due to this biomedical tyranny. But at the same time, we have to recognize that blue cities are some of our most important cultural and economic production spots in the United States. And the real problem with blue cities is that they're run by the Democrats, and obviously are soft on the populations that might be creating crime there. And so something that has to change ultimately is that these guys can't be allowed to continue these policies that are destroying some of our most important cities and states. Now, Trump has already talked about the possibility of expanding this program beyond Washington, D.C. That has a whole...
I love how we call it a program. I love how we call it a program. It's just a cutesy little program. The president is using federal troops without the governor's permission, without the state's permission, to send them in to fight crime on his behalf. But I love how we call them little cutesy it's a program. It's a cutesy little program. Oh my God. Don't tread on me, people. Where are you? Where are you? Don't tread on me. Why are you letting people tread on you? Why are you cool with this?
Whole nother mess of legal categories that you have to deal with. Obviously, the president has far more direct power over Washington, D.C. due to the constitutional setup there. However, if you see big success here in Washington, D.C., I think a lot of people might start asking questions like, why aren't we doing this in Chicago? Why are we doing this in New York? Why are we allowing this crime when we know how to fix it?
It can be a template for the rest of the nation. Aaron McIntyre, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Well, that video sucked, but whatever, I guess. I don't know what else to say.